So right now, it feels like Ryan Day is going from elite quarterback to elite quarterback, and same can be said for his receivers. But now that Will Howard is headed to the NFL draft, Julian Sayin is set to take over behind center for the Buckeyes, and he might be the best QB Ryan Day has had yet. Obviously, there are still a lot of moving parts with him. He's going to be trying to get bigger over the offseason, which is something he has kind of struggled with in the past just because his overall frame isn't that big, and we can't count chickens before they hatch. But from what I've seen so far from Julian Sayin, it looks like he has what it takes to get the Buckeyes back to the national championship once again. And I want to talk about why. I want to go over some film breakdown, and I also want to talk more about the receivers he will have to throw the ball to, and so much more. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. So Julian Sayin is 6'1" and 203 pounds. So not a huge frame, he's barely even bigger than me. He's a lot smaller than Will Howard, but he was insanely successful in high school. In 2022, as a junior, he went 10-2 as a starter at Carlsbad. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced some of the names. Obviously, I'm not that familiar with California high schools, but he led the Lancers to the San Diego Section Open Division for the second straight year, completing 163 of 245 pass attempts at a 66.5% clip for 2,708 yards with 27 TDs and 4 interceptions. He also carried the ball 26 times for 154 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I think his mobility is definitely slept on. When people kind of talk about him as a player, they don't really bring that up, but it's definitely something that can occasionally be a factor of his game. And he threw for 300 plus yards against Liberty and Poway. And then in 2023, he was named the Gatorade California Player of the Year. He was named MVP of the Elite 11 Finals in advance of senior season, and he posted a 9-1 record at Carlsbad, missing 1 game due to injury. And that's not bad at all, that's pretty reliable. And I do think staying healthy and staying on the field is definitely an attribute that should be considered when you are looking at and breaking down a player. He threw for 2,347 yards with 24 touchdowns and only 1 interception, completing 158 of 212 passing attempts for an improved 74.5% rate. And he also carried the ball 29 times for 186 yards and 4 touchdowns. So that was also improved from the year before as well. So basically, all I'm trying to say is he got better in his senior year from his junior year, which you would expect. And he led the Lancers to their 5th straight Avocado League title. The thing about Julian Sayin is that he's got a quiet confidence about him. You always want a guy who's confident, but you don't want a guy who's arrogant and a guy who's gonna cause problems in the locker room and a guy who thinks he's better than everyone else. But that is not Julian at all. He's almost the opposite. And Sayin has the arm talent to hit every blade of grass with excellent touch. Every time the football leaves his hands, it looks perfect. A few people have knocked on his size. It's definitely a negative. I've seen some comments online, and some people mention that he has worked on adding weight, but he's still too small. Under Saban to play at Alabama, and his family even moved to Tuscaloosa. But once he found out that Saban was retiring, even with being guaranteed to start, he made the switch to come to Ohio State. And personally, if I was in his shoes, I don't know if I would have done that because Alabama's locker room is just insane. I mean, I know Ohio State has a pretty nice facility as well, but theirs is just otherworldly. But still, even with Saban gone, I thought that Alabama was still going to stay on top of the college football world, but actually, that hasn't been the case. I think they're going to rebound under Kalen DeBoer, but there has been a bump in the road. So I think for Sayin, this was definitely the right decision, and I think him being patient, waiting behind Will Howard was the right move, and it's going to pay off in a big way. Buckeyes has a chance to continue that trend. But there was kind of that underlying thing that Ohio State couldn't produce good NFL QBs, but I think CJ Stroud broke that curse. I think he is on his way to having a really good and potentially Hall of Fame NFL career. Obviously, he still has a lot more to accomplish, but yeah, I think Julian Sayin really made the right decision, and I think it's gonna pay off. And then in terms of the situation the Buckeyes are in player-wise, with Aaron Nolan entering the transfer portal, it really became clear that Julian was seen as the primary guy, and I think the Buckeyes are all in on him, and they are ready to develop him into the QB that they want him to be. And Sayin actually has already made it onto the field for a few plays as a Buckeye. Obviously, it's tough to really look into what he did because it's not really fair to judge someone in that scenario because all he did was play in blowout games, but we did see him complete a few short passes. We saw him take off for a run. We saw him on 4th down throw for a touchdown, and we've seen him fit the football into tight windows and lead his receivers. And then in high school, I've talked about his stats, but he really showcased the ability to make deep throws on the money almost every time. And he doesn't need to generate momentum to make big throws. He can just sling it off his back foot, off his front foot, doesn't matter. He's got those natural abilities. And I think him and Jeremiah early and often, and I think he's going to help Smith break records, unlike Will Howard was able to do. But really, I can't even blame Howard. It was more just the offensive scheme under Chip Kelly. I thought early in the season the Buckeyes played reserved, and they really just didn't attack through the air like they could have, and that is why they lost 2 games. I don't think the Buckeyes should have lost at all last season. They had too much talent. Every single game they went into, they were the bigger, more physical, and more talented team. Things easy on the opposing defense because really you can just anticipate, and that's exactly what Oregon and Michigan did. But I guess in the end, it ended up working out because once the Buckeyes offense did adjust and they finally started slinging it and attacking early in the game, defenses didn't know how to respond because really, I mean, they had film, but at the end of the day, it was just a brand new offense, if you kind of get what I'm saying. But yeah, whenever you are handpicked from a crowd by Nick Saban, obviously you are something special. There are tons of QBs that have put up numbers and have accomplished things similar to Sayin. Well, not really, but you get what I'm saying. It's just the eye test. He is a guy that can change a program, and for the Buckeyes, when you're just adding him along with all the talent they already have, an O-line that massively improved at the end of the season last year, and a receiving room that always reloads because this is becoming a wide receiver university, it really is just insane to think about what this offense could be next year. That's really all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know who you would like to see next in the comments below, and until then, I will see you all later.